And I always thought there's also, it just seems, maybe everybody had that town, but it seemed like Orleans has always been a trucking town too. It's like
There's
everybody
been,
seemed like they were. And then I was going to ask you to talk about my great uncle Jack, because
yeah,
I was telling about that one day. I said I sold that trailer, sold my step deck to one of Sonny Kennel's friends. We sat there in his shop, and I laughed for an hour about all the stories he had about my uncle Jack. So I really want to do one of these with him too, because I just was I mean, stories like
sure.
you're saying people wouldn't believe now. Those are the kind of stories he was telling. And he said, your great uncle Jack actually gave me my first driving job. And then you said, you knew who else he gave his first driving job to? And I said, who? And you said, your dad.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd just and so his shop, you said, was on that same piece of property, kind of.
And
So
again,
everything's kind of connected
yeah,
in a way.
it is. Keep in mind, I was awful young
Right, yeah.
in those years, and I don't remember Jack. I don't really remember him. I don't know when he died. I don't know when he moved down, I think, to
I
Florida
think
or wherever.
he probably, he lived in Michigan for a long, long time. I think, I could be wrong, but I think he died in 2016.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I had never. He was gone from here
Yeah.
by the time I got old enough. I
Okay.
know I knew the stories, but not the man.
Yeah.
And stories that I've heard or whatever, just like with my dad. My dad went to work for him, and they had him drive a triaxle, I guess it was, and he was hauling asphalt, and I think they were over by Lagodi, and the guy gave Dad hell for not backing into the to the bucket or the
Yeah.
the
Whatever.
paver
Yeah.
straight, and it pissed my dad off. So Dad goes and gets another load. When he comes back up there, he says he lines up on that thing, and he just comes back into it just as hard as he could. And said when he hit it, said it actually you're sitting in the seat on that thing, and said it actually knocked the guy off of the paper. And said of course they threw Dad off the job and this that and other, never to send him back, and so he goes back to your uncle. And he said he knows he's lost his job. He's like, oh shit, And Jack turns around and gives him a semi, and I forget what he was supposed to haul. I don't remember that part, but he just went into a semi then and started doing something different. Well, with all that was going on, he didn't want to tell Jack they didn't know how to drive that truck.
Right.
And so it was. I want to say it was a triplex. It might have been a quadruplex, but it was. It had two sticks, and Dad thought, well, I'll figure this out. Mm-hmm. And so he gets in it, and he heads to Mitchell and then across to Lagodi, and somewhere in the hills over there where it's windy, this and there, and I believe it is there at the Martin Forest. Martin County Forest or whatever.
Like where USG is right there? That hill?
I believe that right there, I think he pulls over to let people around because he just couldn't find the gears. He didn't have no clue. And a person doesn't understand, but I mean, when you're running two sticks, if you don't understand how it works, you ain't going to guess how they go. And so anyway, when he pulls over, a truck pulls right in behind him. And he always says it was a Coca-Cola truck. And the guy comes up there and says, you seem to be having trouble. What you got going on? And he said, well, I just don't know how to drive. He said, I don't know how to drive his transmission. Mm-hmm. And so that guy right there stood on the running board and told him how to shift that truck.
Wow.
And from there on, then he did all right. But back at that time, things are just different. But Dad had a rear end go out of that truck then. And at that time, I mean, there wasn't just mechanics and this and there. You was expected to just do whatever. And so when you tore up a truck, there might be a mechanic there, but you're going to have to work on it too or whatever. And Jack told him, said, well, we're busy this, that, and other. You either get the transmission in it or it'll be a week before you can run, And so Dad goes out there and puts the rear end in the truck. And I don't recall, I mean, I've been told, but it's like they took a back rear end and put it in the front or something, and it screwed up the way in which it's supposed to go.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So what they had was when you put it in a forward gear, so like if it had a 13 speed, you had 13 reverses,
Yeah.
and you only had 2 forward gears.
Okay.
So
yeah,
you ain't gonna drive that nowhere. But the funny thing was in that big lot back behind there, said everybody took their turn at the truck before they turned around and fixed it.
Oh, really?
Everybody took their turn at the truck because everybody would get in that and go through the gears and see how high you could get in reverse and how fast you could get going in a circle. Said it was funny. Everybody come out there and got in it and tried it, and said, well, that's screwed up.
Well, I can't remember if we talked about that or not. Have you ever driven a Mack 12 speed?
I have not. I have driven a duplex. I've never driven a triplex. I've been in a triplex, but I was in it as a rider as a kid.
Well, Mack 12 speed is actually 5 forward gears, and then you've got reverse. So it's just like a 5-speed truck, except it's got a dial where I think it goes low, drive, neutral, reverse, and it's got a dial you do with your thumb. And so whenever you're starting out first, it's basically like a Super 10 is what it is.
Yeah.
And then it's got 2 reverse gears, or I guess that's how they call it. And then so you can shift on a fly and reverse on that thing, go as fast in reverse as you do forward. It was in an old Hanna truck, William Hanna truck, dump truck.
Oh yeah.
And it was really handy because some places, it's got a really long driveway where you got to go back and there's no room to turn around. Well, you could be going 20 or 30 mile an hour in reverse where it would take forever if you didn't have that. So it really was a handy truck, but that's the only one I've ever seen. But it was pretty cool.
Would you realize like the Mack transmissions, like the triplexes and stuff, they were synchronized.
Okay.
So you could pull it into the hole. What we're driving is not synchronized.
Yeah.
So if you don't have the RPMs lined up, it won't come into the hole.
Right.
But it would come into the hole just like a car. It's a synchronized transmission. It'll and in many ways, some of that stuff back there in the '60s, is ahead of its time.
Yeah.
You just didn't realize what it was, and you don't even have it that good in a way now. It's kind of funny.
And Macks are different. If for somebody that's never driven a Mack, you talk about how they had that low end power. Even I think it was a '99 Mack that the construction company I worked for, I pulled their low boy some. That truck drove different than, because I was used to Peterbilts and Cats or Freightliner and a Detroit engine or something like that, but it's like that truck drove different than any other truck I'd ever been in. And that was a modern,
more
modern.
Do you know why that is?
No.
And this isn't like the reason, but you realize, Johnny, that a Cat engine is just an engine. A Cummins is just an engine. A Detroit is just an engine. Well, every other make of truck for years, you get whatever engine in it, whatever transmission. A Mack was always a Mack. So their technology stayed separated.
Now, couldn't you get a different, like a Cummins in a Mack?
Not when I was young, you couldn't.
Because
you might be able to now, but when I was young, a Mack was a Mack.
Okay.
It was Mack rear ends, it was a Mack transmission, and it was a Mack motor.
I thought that's how they did, how you knew. I'm pretty sure this is the way it is, because I know at certain times you could get something else in a Mack. Yeah, because I've seen one, unless somebody put it in there.
Today, I'm sure. Today, I'm sure you can.
I thought at a time, maybe back at a time, but how you could tell if it was all Mack, the color of the dog. If it was a gold dog, it was all Mack. If it was a silver dog, then it had something else. Either the engine was different, transmission, or rear ends. But if it's a gold dog, it's every bit of it's Mack. Yeah, and that's what I always heard.
But keep in mind, I'm not a Mack man, so
no,
I don't
I'm
know
not
Mack
either.
that well. But I'm just telling you, their technologies stayed separated. And in other words, if a Cat and a Cummins, if one of them gets an advantage, they got to work on it because you'll choose that motor to put in a truck.
Yeah.
Where a Mack was just a Mack.
Yeah.
If you wanted a Mack, you're going to take their motor.
Right. Well, now that's how it is now.
Yeah.
Volvo, Freightliner, you can still get either a Cummins or a Detroit. Most of them are Detroit though. And Volvo's all Volvo, and I think International was just bought out by Volkswagen and the Scania. So they've got a whole new package where I think that's what everybody's going to now. Other than like Peterbilt, PACCAR still is with Eaton. They don't have their own transmission, and then a Kenworth or a Peterbilt, you can go PACCAR or Cummins.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of these people, they're starting to get where, and actually I don't think it's a bad thing sometimes, because then the transmission can't fight with the engine. everybody's on the same, you know, one's going with the other.
Yeah.
And it's not somebody, you're not, so they basically own all the technology is what I'm trying to say. And I think maybe it works better that way.
Well, the only thing I would say, I think I understand what you're saying, but the only thing I want to say is when you have three different engine manufacturers that can go in a chassis,
Yeah.
then you're all going to compete hard
Yeah.
to whatever one guy has, you got to be able to offer it. Where otherwise, this is just what we offer, you got to take it.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is true. There's going to be good things about it and bad things.
And one part of it is because, you know, it's still a manual transmission, but a computer shifts it.
Yeah.
So you don't want that engine fighting between it.
Sure.
Because it's no longer are we just shifting gears.
I agree.
That engine's got to talk to the transmission, vice versa. So I think it's good to share that technology now.
Yeah.
So have you ever driven an automated manual truck?
I have not.
I'll have to let you drive mine sometime. It's people don't, you know, they don't want change, but I always say if you're an over-the-road guy, you're in high gear all day anyway.
Yeah.
What do you care? I mean,
of course, I say it's just for a bunch of pansy asses, Johnny.
Yeah.
But of course, that's just a joke. But you know, when you, especially today, I think the biggest thing in trucking or whatever that's really hit is not having farms.
Yeah.
When you don't have all the family farms, a kid doesn't grow up learning how to use a clutch and this, that, and the other. So you go trying to put people in trucks and get them to truly understand it.
Yeah.
Grandpa wasn't around kicking their ass. They don't know how to do it. So when you take an automated truck and it'll shift itself when it's supposed to and hit it right at the right RPM and this, that, and the other, well, that drive line is going to last so much longer than something that somebody's actually trying to do that themselves. Even though a guy shifts well, you have a lot of guys that don't. And so there's no doubt that when you put 1 million miles on a truck that has an automatic transmission, you know, the drive line and stuff's got to be 10 times better because it just didn't go through that wear and tear. So they're good, and they're so much better. I know, just being around guys, they're so much better today than they was 15 years ago.
Oh yeah, they've came a long way from what they were. But you can still. That's what people. That's the difference. Is people always call them automatics. It's still a manual transmission that a computer shifts.
Yeah.
So you kind of got to still drive them like you know how to drive them. You can't just flat to the floor because it can only shift so fast.
Yeah.
It's not an automatic transmission. And I think that's where that kind of knowledge people don't say enough. They just always say it's automatic. Just drive.
Do you call it an auto shift or what do you call it?
Automated manual. That's what they call it.
Automated manual.
Yeah.
Okay. Auto shift is what I've always kind of referred to them as.
Yeah.
But you know, over there in West Virginia, they don't work.
Oh,
now,
no.
when I say that, they've got them better, but you get on them real steep mountains, you're off the road. You know, when you're back on a 2-lane road, whatever, and 80,000 pounds, you got to pick a gear, and you got to stay in that gear all the way up this mountain.
Well, they do. You can put it in manual mode.
Yeah.
Where it's just, well, like I said, it's a manual transmission.
Yeah,
so
that's what I see them do.
You can put it in first gear, hit it in manual, and it won't shift.
Yeah.
So I mean, there are ways around it,
but they probably by now have that resolved too. I mean, I don't know, but they'll. It's like anything; they'll get that figured out. You know what I mean?
No, it's well, it's like I love the old stuff, but I wouldn't want to try to make a living with it because of the fuel mileage, and that's what we were talking about. Fuel's everything now. When a one truck guy, it's 3 times more than anything else is to run the business. So you got to pay attention to it.
And you know this, but it doesn't take much in fuel mileage that if you'll calculate 4 weeks and what you've saved in 4 weeks, that's a month's payment, and you'll turn around and you can make your payment on your truck by fuel mileage. If you've got one that's not getting good fuel mileage versus a new one that will, I mean, that's a bunch of damn money.
Well, do you know how I just told this on a video, but do you know how I got interested in that? If you read that Overdrive article, I told about it. Do you remember it?
Repeat it.
Well, I'll tell you a quick one. Make sure the camera's still going. So when I worked for Scott Daugherty, I was working for him full time in 2007. And so he had a dedicated run that go from Indianapolis to Statesboro, Georgia.
Yep.
And the truck that I drove most of the time, because I never really had my own truck, I worked at his shop, I worked at his farm, I was kind of just do whatever. But I did that run a lot. And I would always take, he had a 300-inch wheelbase, big, it was a mid-roof, but it had a cat, like I said, it was a beautiful truck, 8-inch exhaust. I'd go down there, but I'd always stop in Jackson, Georgia and put fuel in it. And then I could have enough fuel to get down to Statesboro and back home with it. So I knew exactly how much fuel because we always filled it up at the yard. So it was completely full. One week it broke down. And then the very first over-the-road truck he bought was a 99 Classic XL, a Classic XL with a Detroit that he got from Kendall. And he's like, take that. And I was like, well, back then, really, nobody really liked that truck. Everybody wanted to drive the Peterbilts. I was like, all right. But it was a nice truck. It was actually rode a lot better than the Peterbilt, to be honest with you. And so I do my same deal, 30 gallons less fuel goes in it. I was like, how in the world could this thing use? But it was a big, tall sleeper. And of course, the Detroit always gets better fuel mileage than a cat will. And I started figuring that up. And it was, if you ran the same thing at 100,000 miles, it was I think it was like $12,500 different.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go back and tell him. And so I did. I was like, you know how much less this truck uses? It's not that much. I said, it's a bunch, man. At the time, he had 10 trucks. I said, it's $120,000 you'd save. But he was thinking about driver retention. That's what they wanted to drive was the big, large cars. But so it was another 7 years before I started on my own. But I always had that in the back of my mind, thinking there's serious money in this, and that's what I thought. I was like, and my thing was, that's going to be the difference between making it and not making it. And now people are really saying there's a big correlation between fuel mileage and maintenance on your truck. The better the fuel, the longer that thing is going to live, the less your maintenance is going to be. People won't even talk about that, but so I know I'm nerding out on you, but
no, all stuff you're saying is viable. I mean, it's the guys that are successful know the stuff you're talking about, and everybody else, just like you're saying, so many of us run a 379 Pete or whatever because we like the Pete. Well, not because it makes sense, and not because the financial side of it is right. But that's what you go do.
And the thing is, well, like we looked at those trucks. I still love those trucks.
Yeah.
But I just like the kind of every situation's different. Whenever I'm 60 years old, I might like to have an old Freightliner or something, one like the FLC, just because of the nostalgia of it or whatever to drive around. But me trying to make a living, and that's our whole living, that's what I want, something that's going to make us the most money.
And keep in mind, just like what you're doing, when your home's paid for, your farm's paid for, your trucks are paid for, and this, there, if you choose to go back and get you a Peterbilt, you can.
Yeah.
Because then it's not, every dime doesn't matter. You reward yourself by doing that. But if you're, and just like Scott Darty, when he's buying those Peterbilts, he's buying them because drivers get in them and run them.
Right.
So if you got to give up some fuel mileage and this, that, and the other, if you got brand new Peterbilts sitting out there, guys will line up to drive.
I know.
If you've got some other trucks, oftentimes that's not what happens. When a truck, my uncle will be the first to tell you, we used to run Fords, and I thought that was crazy as hell. But a Ford is going to run the same miles as a Peterbilt. It has the same motor, the same transmission, same rear ends. It's the same truck in a way. It's just a different frame and a different cab. And so, you eventually choose what you're wanting to do. But the people don't understand that. They're going to cost themselves some money.
And we argued about it 15 years ago. I mean, I was like, why do you buy these? And I think I've always just been in the efficiency part of it. But at the same time, I don't think I'd be very good at having drivers, because he knew what he had to have to keep them. But I'd always say, why do you buy these things? They're blah, 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 you're throwing all this money away, especially after I heard that. He's like, resale them. I was like, who cares about the resale? You'll blow more than that in fuel. You know what I mean? You're canceling out resale with fuel mileage. So it's all what somebody wants.
In this day and age, getting drivers is the biggest. Getting quality drivers that want to be in your truck, and that don't drive it for 3 months and quit. You know what I mean? Somebody that'll stay for 5 years or 10 years. That's the guy you'll make money on. And Scott Darty's probably done an excellent job around here, and he realizes that Peterbilt will get will get those drivers he wants, probably.
Yeah. And I always said, who am I? Really, who am I to? I'd still argue with him here and there, but I was like, who am I to argue with him? I got one truck and you got 30.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just. But I think that's the other thing too that I wanted to talk about was, I think drivers don't realize. I think when somebody drive, and I'm guilty of this too. When you're driving for somebody and they've got, say, 10 trucks or whatever, you think they probably got all the money in the world. And, you know, you really, when you work for somebody, you really need to respect their equipment and take care of it all you can, because they're not, it's a pretty thin margin of making money with trucks. It really is, especially when you got guys driving them. So that's what I kind of wanted to say on here was, if you're driving for somebody, try to take care of that piece of equipment, because they're not as rich as what you think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they got some trucks, but they're not getting rich off of them.
And if you want to affect a guy's bottom line, I'll tell you, the old '82 Freightliner that I bought, $7,000.
Yeah.
Well, when you run that thing and you get all these miles out of it, and you run it and you run it, there's few trucks that will make a guy as much money as that '82 Freightliner that was already wore out that I bought, and that blue Peterbilt. Hard to know how many miles is on that blue Peterbilt, but I'm telling you, we put driver after driver in it and made tons of money on it.
Yeah.
And so, not having the breakdowns and this, that, and other, I mean, it takes your money absolutely. We just lost 2 motors here in the last 2 months.
Keep talking. I'm going to get that picture for you. It's right
and
here.
I mean, it absolutely kills you.
Right. I'll put this picture on the video, but I found that the other day.
I'll be damned.
So this is a picture I just showed him.
I remember the picture being in the thing now, but I forgot all about it.
Oh, there it is. I put the date 3/30/05 when it happened.
Yep.
So this is a picture of that blue Peterbilt that we had in the video, and the trailer it was pulling. It's
Absolutely.
rolled over on it's laying on its side.
Absolutely. I'm a damn. And we took, just so you know, you see that cable right there? We tied that off on that big tree in that woman's front yard.
Oh, really?
In order to pull it back over. Over and knocked on her door. I said, hey, can we tie on to the trunk of your tree in order to winch this thing back?
So we use it like a pivot point, like a pulley was on it?
Well, when you're trying, we just hooked to it in order to hook the wrecker.
Oh, okay.
Because it was so heavy, it was loaded, it was going to pull the wrecker back.
Oh, I got
And so that way we tied to the tree. You had to pull the tree out of the ground in order.
Did it do that?
No.
Oh.
No. But
I think there's some airbags
yeah,
under
there's
there.
airbags under there, and they aired those up, and that raised her up, and I mean it set it right up. But it put a big dent right up here in that trailer. That trailer sits there on the Baker Oil lot. There's a big dent right there in it. And those trailers are 1/4 inch steel. I mean, they're thick.
Yeah. So it must
But he
have.
just screwed up that day.
Yeah, everybody makes mistakes, but
Yeah.
that was a shame. So there you can see the stack on it still.
Yeah. But that, and I tell you, I wish that was some other truck, because that,
I know.
I mean, that was absolutely one of the, as far as the trucks we owned, that truck right there probably made us as much or more money than any truck we ever owned.
But he didn't get hurt or anything.
No, he did not. And I was lucky. I never had anybody get hurt except we lost, Billy Woolston.
Yeah.
When he rode that truck down there below French Lake. But
Yeah.
I never had a driver hurt or whatever besides that.
Yeah, it says he was unhurt in the accident. Tanker's owned by Baker Oil Company. I was like, I bet you love that.
Yep. But anyway, kind of sad.
Yeah, old Blue.
But he was young. He was in his 20s.
I didn't know him.
But I want to say you're the youngest driver that I ever hired.
Really?
And to be honest, and you can show your dad this, and having known your dad, you're lucky.
Here we go.
Having known your dad, you're lucky I hired you. And it's not your dad's a bad person, but your dad's a little wild, this, that, and the other.
Yeah, make sure we're still going.
And you were just a laid back version.
Well, I wish I was. My dad has never met a stranger. I mean, he can walk.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, so Similar, there are things similar, but really, my dad and I are a lot different. Just our personalities are different. He wants to be the center of attention, and I just kind of just want to hang
Yep.
back. And I don't, I mean, I like having fun and everything, but
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't have to be the center of attention in every. But yeah, I know what you mean. He's so yeah. So you said you probably didn't know what you were getting with me.
No, well, I mean, I talked to you and this, that, and the other, and I forget. I don't remember who told me about you.
I think,
But I called
it was
and had
John
you come
Lindley.
in, huh?
John Lindley, I
Think so?
Because I was just talking to him about you the other day. John, if you watch this video, but yeah, I think that's probably who it was.
Johnny Howard?
No, little
Little John?
William.
John William.
Because he was working for you some.
I'll be damned. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably how we did. But
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, he I
but
don't know, a couple years, 2 or 3 years.
we were talking that one day. I was like, I don't know. I think either you're cut out to have drivers or you're not, or probably employees, period. But I was like, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night because I had no experience. And yeah, I don't know. It worked out. Oh, we were going to talk about my very first day. We'll talk about that because this video is getting, I don't know what your schedule
I do
looks
need
like.
to get going.
Okay, this is the last thing then. Because I need to make fun of myself a little bit.
All right.
And again, I'll give you credit because I probably would have never let you come back. And if the shoe was on the other foot, I probably would have said, no, I'm not letting this guy come back. So we were talking about Joe Burton. Joe Burton was kind of like your right-hand man. He was mechanic, driver, very good driver and everything,
Yeah.
and very good mechanic. Just a great guy. I learned a lot from him too. And before we start that, I was thinking, you're the first person that ever told me talk about the fuel mileage and everything. You're the first person that ever said anything about, you didn't call it progressive shifting,
Yeah.
but you were talking about progressive shifting because you probably saw me leave the yard or something. Every gear was
Wound it
2,000
up.
RPM. Hey, you're like, you don't need to rack it out on every one of those low gears. Get it on the high side, then start winding it out a little bit, that's progressive shifting.
Yeah.
So you're the first person that ever told me that.
I still to this day, I'll catch myself ever so often.
Mm-hmm.
I'll pull somebody aside even today and say, hey, why are you doing that? Quit
Right.
doing that.
Well, there's really you're not gaining anything.
No.
So my very first day I worked for you, the truck that we showed, well, I don't know how these videos are going to work, but we'll show it. I'll put a clip of it or something. The truck that wrecked and burned was the truck I was in. And so I went with Joe to Seymour, Indiana. He showed me how to unload a load. We came back to Bedford. He got my pickup. And then I got on 50 and went to Lagodi. And you were in this truck here that's the blue truck that's rolled over. You were at Lagodi Co-op unloading, and we met up there. Then, do you remember any of this?
I don't remember that part, but go ahead.
You were unloading. So I pull in with the truck that wrecked, and we talked or whatever. I don't think I'd only met you one time, maybe. The first time I ever met you was at Patoka Lake on a boat. That's the first time I ever met you. And the DNR pulled us over on a boat.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. There's somebody that was like, the halls were down there. You took a camper.
That was Todd Hall's bachelor party.
Okay. But you remember getting pulled over by the cop?
I do.
I was with you. Me and John William were with you.
Okay.
And so that's the first time I met you.
Well, you need to ask Aaron Wellman because he'll mention that every now and then. Go ahead.
First time I met you, we got in trouble.
Yep. That sounds right.
But anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. Yeah, so I was thinking, I had never met you before other than the boat. And I think you'd called me, and then we just talked on the phone. But anyway, so we met at the Lagodi Co-op. You unloaded your load, and we both went to Princeton, Indiana, and both loaded a load of propane.
Yeah.
Then we headed back. I can remember we stopped at the Stop and See in Montgomery.
I never could pass that place to get a fish sandwich.
You're like, oh, we got it, because everybody had radios back then. It's like, we got to stop in there and get a fish sandwich. And back then it was different where trucks could get in there.
Yeah.
They've kind of built it to where you can't now.
Well, it's closed now, just so you know.
Oh, is it?
It kills me. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So then we went on to Bloomington. So this is on 2nd Street, and the truck that's in this picture, the blue truck that got rolled over, you were driving it. You pulled it up in there and showed me how to hook up and everything. And I guess I knew enough how to, I unloaded the load and put the hoses and everything back in, and you took the truck I was driving and went to somewhere else in Bloomington. I have no idea where. Do you remember?
Well, there was 2 locations in Bloomington. One's outside of Bloomington and one's in town.
I was the one in town, I guess, at the co-op.
Okay, so I
Okay.
went to the one outside of
Okay.
town. I can't really tell you where it's at, but
And so
it's
this
west. It's west of town.
this is in September, so it's this kind of where the days are getting short. It was dark. Now you got to think back in these days. Yeah, I wouldn't even have a cell phone.
Yeah.
No, so I had no cell phone, no anything, and so you're like, and when you're that young and you don't travel much, you have no sense of direction. You just don't. So I got finished with the load, I unloaded it, and you're like, you take that truck back home. Okay. I back up, so all I had to do was turn left, and it would take me right back to 37.
And you're right there at 37, not very far. Go ahead.
And what do? I turn right. I'm like, deedly dee, I'm going down the
into
road.
town.
Oh, look, I'm super trucker. And I get to Walnut. I'm thinking, this isn't right. And so I was like, and I'm gonna take a little cut right here. But that's why I say I think the best quality in a truck driver is patience. If you have patience, I think no matter what, you're going to be a good truck driver.
Yeah.
Because if I would have stopped and taken the time and thought about what I was doing, what would have happened wouldn't have happened. But I panicked, and I was like, I'm just going to keep going. I'll get turned around somehow or another. It takes me into a residential area in Bloomington, and this is a Saturday night.
Yeah.
And I get to a T in the road. Well, I was like, okay, I think I had to turn right. If I remember, I could either turn left or right. And I thought, I better turn right. That'll get me back. I make the right turn. And then I think, the first street I come to, I'm going to head back right, and that'll bring me back to Walnut. I was wrong. And I try to make that turn, and I run over a street sign, and I think I knocked the hose tube. And the adapter, the brass adapter, I think we lost that.
Yeah.
So I don't care. I'm running over whatever to get out of this situation. And I come down to a point where there's basically a T in the road and I'm stuck.
Yeah.
I cannot make the turn. And what happened, there's a big party of college kids going on.
That's
right
what
here.
I remember. It's so funny.
And we're the same age at this time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're 18. I was probably younger than some of them driving this semi. And I got stuck. I have no idea. A cop must have came.
Cop comes, yep.
And maybe you had written your phone number down or something. I have no idea how we even got. That part's fuzzy.
I think that I had at that time. I think we had one bag phone.
Yeah.
And I think you had got a hold of Stacy.
Okay.
And she had called me.
Yeah, that's
and so
probably
then
it.
I come to you.
Okay, that's
I
probably.
got where you was at, and I said, just tell him to wait. I'll come there. Just tell the cop I'll be there in a little bit.
And by this time, my nerves are shot. I mean, completely shot. And you came over there with the other semi, I guess. I don't even remember that.
That part I'm not for sure about, because I almost think Stacy was up there at Bloomington, and maybe I rode over with her.
Okay,
but I could be wrong. Like she was up there shopping or something.
I don't remember another semi.
I don't remember having the semi out there. I think I come over there in a car.
So did you make that left turn?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's what you're talking about. I remember you talking. So you, in order to get a little more room, you probably went all the way to the right, cocked it back.
I went. Okay, let me tell this part.
Okay.
What I remember is when I'm pulling up, I'm laughing my ass off.
I wouldn't have been.
Because I knew I'm going to have to back it out of there, and I've had to back out 2 miles before. You know what I mean? But I laughed my ass off because all these homes that we was around were rented by college kids.
Yeah.
And so here you were with this cop down with you, and they were all getting ready to party that night and this, that, and the other, and they're all sitting out on their front porches watching you. It was funny as shit.
And I was trying
every front porch had 10 kids on it.
Oh, no.
You know what I mean?
And they're like, I mean, and you saw that. Well, I don't know if you'll see that, but that's a big truck.
Yeah.
And so anyway, and a loud truck.
Yep. So when I get there, of course, I go up and talk to the cop. I said, let me look at it. I said, we'll get it out of here if I got to back it out. I said, if you got to back it out, are you going to, you just help me get it back out? He said, yeah. He goes, we'll do what you need to do. So when I went up there and looked at it, you were missing, you were coming to that sign, and you needed about another 1.5 feet to get past it.
Yeah.
And so what you were trying to do, you would get all the way over to the left, and you were turning to the right. So when you got up there, though, you would just make the turn.
Yeah.
So what I did is I went up there, made the turn. When I made the turn, then I backed the tractor that way.
Yeah.
And so I took the tractor back into that road, and I had you stand over there and not let me jackknife it.
Okay.
So I took it as sharp as I could and actually backed it out that direction, the opposite direction I wanted to go.
Okay.
And that brings the wheels of the trailer up closer to the intersection. So then when I went here, I'm just pivoting there, but these wheels are still way over in the intersection. Where you're going from here, and as you start to turn, it's dragging those wheels across there. And so that's again, some old trucker told me that just the same as I told you that. You know what I'm saying?
If there's any blessing in that, then I didn't try to make that turn
Sure.
and flatten something else.
Sure.
Because I thought I've done enough damage. I didn't even realize it was so dark. I can remember, and you know, thinking back, I'm as green can get. You know what I mean? And it's at night, and you just don't know that stuff.
Do you know though, when you're saying this, you're saying, I don't know why you let me run again or why whatever. Do you still not know?
No.
Okay.
I would have.
Do you realize how many dumbasses I've dealt with?
Probably a lot.
Okay. I appreciated that you got on the goddamn phone and called and got us out of the jam.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rather than mouthing off to the cop, being shitty, or just running over the damn sign or whatever, you know, and when you got there, you know, you're like, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? All things that should have happened. You're not, at 19 or 20, you're not going to be able to go drive a truck like I did at 40 or whatever I was at that time. You see what I'm saying? And so, but the way you handled it, I wasn't afraid of you. If you were radical and stupid and, you know, somebody sent me, you know, half the time it's, well, they told me the wrong directions. They told me, you know, it's just a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
Just settle down. We either got to back this thing out or we got to make the turn. Just wait a minute. We'll figure it out and we'll get this sumbitch out of here.
Yeah.
So, and that's like John William. You know, I enjoyed John William immensely. And Johnny Howard later in life said, you know, I enjoyed him working for you. He said, you know, he'd come home and I ran a chainsaw today, or I was on a backhoe today, or as they sat there, and he said, and Johnny Howard said, you know, he said, I really, with somebody else, I probably would have worried about that. But he said, I knew that you were probably training him and showing him how to do it, and he was doing it in a safe way or whatever. But he said, you know, he learned. My son learned a hell of a lot working for you.
Yeah.
And I appreciate still to this day. And every time I see John William, I mean, you know, I just love to see him.
Yeah. And that's what we were talking about too. I said, that's what young kids need. They need somebody to give them the confidence to do something. If you just say you can't do this or you can't do that, you know, and that's what really what I needed was, and you and Scott Daugherty helped me more than probably anybody, because, and that's what it was. It was like, hey, because I can remember working for him, because I worked for him before you, but I'd never pulled a cattle trailer or anything like that. And he's like, yeah, get the truck. Oh, I can't do that. Sure you can. Just back, you know what I mean? Just doing little things like that, you'll see you can do things.
But stop and think about Scott Daugherty and myself, okay? Look at what we were doing at 10 years old and 15 years old. We was around people that said you can do it. My dad at 11 telling me I can go down there to Clarksville.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. You know what I mean? Well, yes, you can. You're going to do this. Not people that no. It's all the excuses in the world.
Yeah.
So things that I could do at 15, I guarantee you can do at 19 and 20. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
So I had all the confidence in the world in you. It's just getting you to understand, yes, you can do this. You know what I mean?
Well, that was, yeah. And I mean, I don't know. It's just, I was saying, I was thinking that was the worst I ever did. Seriously, I don't think I ever, other than hitting the stack on the gas station, which was no big deal.
I don't remember problems with you at all.
I can't think of ever damaging anything after that, which really, that was a great way to start. And everybody says, whines about driving over the road. Driving over the road's the easiest work there is. Doing that short haul stuff, going into gas stations, this and that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's harder than driving over the road. You put it in high gear and you drive down the interstate.
I'm going to tell you something crazy, and what I'm getting ready to say is crazy, but it's truth. Anybody I ever hired to haul fuel, I always felt better with them after they dropped fuel in the wrong hole once. After they did it, they don't do it no more.
And I told you, I almost did once.
Yeah. But once either you'll scare the shit out of yourself, just like you almost did, or you'll do it. Once you do it, you'll always double check before you pull the lever to dump it in the ground.
Yeah.
And it's it takes some mistakes to become cautious and a good person. If mistakes never get made, we get half-assed.
No, and I think that goes back to patience. It's just I don't know why that word keeps on coming up in me, but I think not being in a hurry and having patience will make you. I mean, after a while, everybody can drive a truck. Mm-hmm. It's just like
anybody can do it.
It's like jumping in a car once you do it for a while, but doing it well. And back then, now that things are a little bit easier, we said they're basically idiot proof now. You're talking about having to watch a pyrometer and watching your water temp and actually having to hit a fan to maybe go, and because there's no brain in these things. And the other thing I was going to say, you're the first person that ever told me, because we live in a rural area where there's a lot of little towns. You said every new town I go to, I check my gauges, and that was something I always remembered too.
And that's always, and the reason is it's always 5 to 10 miles generally.
Yeah.
And every 5 to 10 minutes, if you check your gauges. Of course, today trucks are dummy proof in a way, and so you don't burn stuff up. But back then, you'd burn an engine up if you lost the water in it. You know? And oftentimes that's what happened to engines. They'd
didn't have any warning.
You lose the water, and by golly, nothing. When it's already burning up and the truck starts to run bad, the damage is already done. You didn't catch it.
No.
And but John William and there's probably 8 boys that worked for us through those years in there, and I enjoyed damn near every one of them. I've always enjoyed young people willing to work. As long as you're willing to work, I was happy with you.
Yeah.
But I got to laugh at. So, what's your opinion? I have many people that say I'm hot-headed and hard to get along with. What's your opinion to that?
You can be. That's what I was telling John. We talked a couple weeks ago, and I was telling him. I said, "Man, I'm trying to get him to do this video with me. I think it'd be really good and all this." And he goes, "Yeah, I need to call him and tell him to do it too." And I told him, I said, probably the biggest argument we ever had was I was 20, almost to turn 21, and I said I don't want to leave because I didn't do a whole lot of stuff but go to Robinson, Illinois. And you're not supposed to leave the state till you're 21. And I said, I remember telling you, I was like, I don't want, this is, my birthday's in April, this is probably March. I said, I don't leave the state anymore because I said, this is when I'm going to get caught right before I turn 21. Yeah, okay. And I don't know how that used to work, but you would wait for gas price to change to see where you were going to take the truck. And so I had picked up this truck. I remember it was the blue truck. Went down there to the office and was sitting there waiting on the price to change. And you're like, it changed, and the cheapest place was Robinson, Illinois. I was like, I told you I'm not going to Robinson, Illinois. I remember your exact words. You go, I'm going to clean it up. You're probably like, I suppose you're not going to have sex till you're married either. and I'm like, well, of course. And anyway, and you're like, you were mad. You're going like this, and you go, just park it then. I go, okay. So I got it back in and I took it back to the Quonset hut, and you start calling me. I'm mad too at this point because I told you I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
20 times you called me, and I finally answered, and you're like, you always call me Penn, I got you something here in Indiana. So that was seriously, I think that's about the biggest argument we ever had.
And what you're saying sounds like what I would say to you.
Yeah, no, I can remember that, but no, I love that story now. But yeah, I was like, I was getting mad too because I was like, no, I don't want to do it. This is when I know I'm going to get busted a week before I turn 21. Yeah. And oh my gosh, that was Terry.
Yeah,
I don't remember his last
name.
name.
I still can't think of his last name.
But I can remember because I told you I didn't want to do it. And so at least you did respect that. We were on 50, and what we would do, because I didn't want to go,
yeah.
We'd park a 4-lane highway, park the truck here, I'd park the truck here going into Illinois, he'd be coming into Indiana, and we'd run across the road and switch trucks. Yeah. And so we did that till I turned 21.
Yeah. I forgot about that part, but we did that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But yeah, Terry, I can't remember his last name.
God, I wish.
And the other guy, Dave
Callahan.
Yeah, I forgot all about him until we started talking about that the other day.
Well, I told you that I saw him. He come to Mom's funeral, and when his wife stepped over, I did not recognize her. At
Oh,
all.
yeah?
She said, "You know who I am?" And I said, "No." And I look over and see him, and I realized then who she was.
Well, how many years has it been since you
Oh
probably
my
seen
God. 20. I mean, I don't know, 15, 20. Hell, I don't know.
Yeah.
A good while. I'm here. Well, at least 15, between 15 and 20 years. But
No, that was it was a good experience. It really was. I like working there, and I can remember because we probably talked a lot. Because I remember you used to every once in a while you get in a ride with me just to see how I was driving and this and that, and I remember you telling me, you go, you're going to think this is fun for a while. And it was. Oh, it was a blast.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a dream come true to be able to drive a semi.
Sure.
I'd wanted to do it, and you're right. It was, and honestly, it's crazy that all these years I still look forward to driving. I still like it.
I still enjoy driving.
And it's like then that's been a lot of. I still enjoy equipment. Well, it's like yesterday I said I bought that lift kit for my trailers. I'm looking forward to putting that on there and seeing what the difference is going to be.
Yeah.
That's the fun. That's the fun of being a business owner, an owner operator. It's never a boring day. I mean, there's always something to do, and some people just don't like that. Some people like shutting the key off and going home, and that's not what this is. There's always something to do.
Well, someday when John William is in, give me a call and the three of us will go up and have a beer.
Okay.
But
he'll probably be home for Christmas.
I appreciate him greatly.
Yeah, he does you too. I know he said he always appreciated you giving him a job, and
yeah.
so, but
It's
well,
pretty funny.
have we said enough?
I think so. I don't know what else.
We can always do
it
a part
again.
2 if you think of something else. But I think this has been a lot of fun, and I appreciate you. We've taken about 5 hours of your day today.
That's all right.
It's a crappy day anyway.
It's all right.
But
just hold on to stuff my grandkids may want to see it someday when I'm gone.
Well, that's a good thing about putting it on YouTube. It's evergreen.
Yep.
Or you can't lose it, and anybody can watch it from wherever.
Yep.
So I like like I said, Orleans always to me was a trucking town, and there's a few other guys like Sonny and Scott Darty and maybe Greg Kendall and because there's a lot of people that seem like they truck around here, and I like history anyway.
Yeah.
And so things you told me I never even knew. I never knew Indy cars were in that building.
Yeah. And
so if you would send me some pictures of that, and because this one I'll probably put some of the truck videos up first.
I'll do that.
But will you be good?
And I appreciate it. I appreciate you, and I appreciate doing this, and it's fun. We'll see what happens. And that 87. I mean, we will get it. We will run it again.
And we'll have to do another video when you get it going.
We'll just
because that one doesn't need much.
No. You understand? It had 750,000 miles with no problems. There wasn't a single
you said
thing.
You had to put bearings
there wasn't
in it, right?
nothing. Huh?
You had to put bearings in it, right?
We put bearings in it at 300. All engines back then, you put bearings in at 300.
But that's what I was shocked.
That's all we had done.
I was thinking you never had to do anything to it. Everybody always said you had to put bearings in it. I mean, what was those old two-stroke Detroits you had to overhaul on my
You don't have to put bearings in them. There's motors that go 800,
right.
But it's just you're kind of taking a chance. So go ahead and do it at 300, and that way they'll go to 1 million without wearing the bearings out.
Well, now you don't have to. I mean, bearings don't even go bad because of the fuel dilution. Back then, it's just, there's no computer, there's no nothing. It's just giving as much fuel as your foot tells it to.
Yeah.
But that's the thing too. We'll stop talking about this because I could go on for another hour. But back when I started driving for you, I learned on mechanical engines. The whole thing was don't let them lug, because then that's what it does. It floods the cylinder with fuel because it's not getting enough air fuel mixture and the RPM's not up. Now it's lug everything because you got the computers that will tell it, hey, we've got this much RPM, we've got this much boost, only give it this much fuel. So that's why they live so much longer now.
And I think you'll find that your horsepower, if you look at how they've done the cams and this, that, and the other, your horsepower anymore is on the low RPMs. Like 12, 13, 14, 11, that's where your horsepower is. Where in the beginning, your horsepower oftentimes was 16, to 19 up on the upper end.
Well, like a truck I got, I know the peak torque on it is at 975 RPM.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but you can't, like you said, you can't flood them anymore because it knows not to.
Yeah.
So
It does all that shit for you.
yeah, it's a lot easier to put a driver in them now that
Yeah.
might not have much experience.
Yeah.